Hi, welcome to the video. My name is Dychronic, and today I'm taking a look at these his location, his random rolls, my recommendations, and all that whatnot for October 7th, 2022. You can find these in his regular spot in the tower, so just make your way into the top left section of the hangar right here. You can find these right here next to the railing, otherwise known as a precipice. This is a high overview in case this is all you cared about. And of course, if you don't have this quest, make sure you pick it up. It basically is free ciphers if you ever want them. First up, for the weapon today, we have the Two-Tailed Fox. Now, this is, in my opinion, what I would consider scientifically a bad weapon. Not because the idea is bad, it's just that it doesn't seem to do anything that special. It shoots out two different rockets, one void, one solar. It can track the target. The void one does a little suppression, the solar one does some burn, and this seems like a cool idea, but both rockets don't do full rocket damage, so it doesn't do double the DPS than a regular rocket, and also fires a little bit slower because both have to leave the tube and speed off. I'm not exactly sure what Bungie should do to make this better, but there are just better options. Truth has better tracking, proximity, Gjallarhorn is just better than everything else. There's just no purpose for this weapon. Following that, we have the Hunter exotic known as WORMHUSK Crown. Probably one of the better exotics in the game and has been better since the Warmind DLC. Now, it actually came out as ridiculously powerful. Nowadays, just gives you a small bump in your health and shields, about half of your bar, which allows you to survive, which is very popular in PvP, and also do recommend it in PvE, especially if you find yourself dying or using a weapon like Touch of Malice that does kill you. This exotic is very simple, but it does a lot, especially considering how often you can get your dodge and how you can get your dodge to do something else that it already does. When it comes to the stats, you like to see a lot of mobility because dodge is very important, probably a lot of recovery and resilience because it's more PvP stuff. Overall, not a bad combination, a good total stats of 64, and I would recommend it. Although it looks ugly, so you definitely want to get it. Oh, that doesn't make a big difference. Following that, we have the Titan exotic known as ACD Feedback Fence. An exotic that actually comes from Destiny 1 that I've always really liked the look of, so I actually have my mascot, the tiger, in my banner actually wearing this exotic. That being said, it's not very good exotic anymore. Its main perk, Fury Conductors, melee hits build up energy, so you hitting enemies, you build up this energy. When you're struck by a melee attack, it reduces incoming damage, I believe by a significant amount actually, and unleashes that energy in a devastating explosion, which, first of all, the explosion does okay, but not really a lot of damage, and once you're being struck by a melee, by that point you're usually dead. Especially in PvP, somebody shoots you with a shotgun and then melees you, that reduction in damage doesn't really make a big difference. Although if they just melee you, it will take 3 melees to kill you. When it comes to the roll on this, I'm not too sure. Probably resilience, recovery, has a decent recovery, could do with more resilience, and total stats of 65 is above average. Following that, we have the Warlock exotic, and it's gonna be one of my favorite exotics in the game, CONTRAVERSE Hold. Probably one of the best for the Warlock. If you don't know what it does, it resists incoming damage while you're charging one of your void grenades, which is nice, but not the best part. And the second part says, charge void grenades, return grenade energy on hit. It used to be a random value, now it's more consistent. And from my experience, it also seems to depend on what kind of grenade you're hitting the enemy with, because something like a vortex grenade, you're getting around like 20 to 30%. Now you should also keep in mind is that it has a 4-second cooldown, so if you get a first hit and the last hit of vortex to both hit the target, you get around 2/3 of your grenade. And if you pair that up with good mods on your armor to get more grenade stuff like Devour, where you're getting effects and your abilities and you get more grenade energy, you can start getting grenades very frequently with this exotic. And furthermore, Void 3.0 is very good on Warlock. This is definitely something I have and will use in Grandmaster Nightfalls that I really like. When it comes to the roll on it, I'm not super sure that you really need a lot of discipline. A lot of it just happens from the mods and this exotic, but discipline's okay. Resilience is always nice to have in PvE, and of course, a lot more recovery would be preferable, but it may fit with your build. 63 is around the average, and I would recommend. Ooh, it actually has an ornament? I did not know that. When did that come out? Oh, that was this season. It came out this season. Okay, that makes sense. Following that, let's take a look at the legendary weapons. First up, we have a True Prophecy with a Grave Robber Demolitionist roll. I do believe this can have explosive payload. I do have one with explosive payload, and explosive payload is excellent on this item. Beyond that, you definitely need to have a lot more handling and reload speed, which is what the 120s really suffer for. Following that, we have ENIGMA'S Draw, which is also Grave Robber Demolitionist. Imagine if all of them were Grave Robber Demolitionists. That would be crazy. For this, you'd like to see a lot of range. You just gotta have tons and tons of range. Definitely could have better perks here. Following that, not Grave Robber Demolitionist, but it's Threat Detector Osmosis on Escape Velocity, which is a lightweight frame SMG, and these are a popular weapon type, but this one doesn't have a lot of great perks or great stats in general. But these are actually good perks relative to what it could have. After that, we have the CQC-12, which is a slide shot Vorpal. Not a bad combination for the Crucible, but you can definitely have a lot better. Assault mag's really nice. Full choke really makes this good for Crucible, so a decent option for Crucible, but definitely could be better. Following that, punching out a rapid fire sidearm. I'm not a big fan of them, although the new one has Volt Shot on it, which I prefer, and the rest of the perks are kind of meh. Following that, we have Negative Space, which is Enduring Guard, Tireless, and Disruption Break. Not really what you're looking for on a sword, but you have perfect guard efficiency and very high endurance. Maybe that's useful. And the rest of the perks, not really care. And of course, we have the Star and Shadows, which is a 340 Feeding Frenzy Snapshot. Not a bad combination, but there are definitely better ones, and there are a lot of perks available on this. This is one of those saturated Crucible pools, and you definitely could be better. After that, taking a look at the different armor options. Keep in mind, this is for the Warlock, so I see the Warlock ones. Also, I believe sometimes some of these armors come with shaders. Yeah, so this shader right here, if you were to buy this item, dismantle this item, you'd have a chance of getting this shader as a result. When it comes to this armor, 60 is okay, high strength, not really looking forward to it. 61 high resilience and intellect is okay. 64, high resilience, recovery, and intellect is definitely something I'd like, and 57 is not really interesting. So that helmet is definitely looking nice. And of course, we have the exotic weapons. First up, on the Hawkmoon, we have an opening shot roll, 96 recoil direction, meaning that you're not controlling the recoil on either one of these. Not bad perks, opening shot's nice, Hammer Forge is nice, but I would like to see recoil direction control, and of course, rangefinder. Following that, the DMT, 4 times the charm, is okay for PvE stuff, although it did get nerfed over the last couple of seasons, and it's not nearly as good as it used to be, and personally, I prefer moving target or Vorpal, and of course, a recoil direction like it has, getting it up to 100 is definitely nice to see. Although I think both of these control recoil direction, you only really need one of them to bring it up to 99, so both is not necessary. And of course, any exotic engram you ever receive will be guaranteed to be an exotic you never received before and or with a high stat roll. I obviously have all the exotics that can drop from this pool, so it just drops a random one. 64, not a bad roll, high recovery, it's actually pretty good. And of course, I wanted to give a big thank you to my patrons on Patreon. Specifically, a big thank you to Mom, Dad, Postalones, Box World, Mighty Steve Bachman, Sooner Panther, Kiss the Reckon, Father, Spart on Patreon. And that's it. Hope you guys did enjoy. Hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. My name is Dychronic, and I'll see you guys on the next one.